Good morning, friends. Today this video is related to the land holdings, what I dug out from the Land Audit Department of the CAG Defence. Now we will only talk of land holding in in India of the Ministry of Defence and various classifications under CA rules. Some people don't know the definitions. So they keep asking me these definitions. Today I'll speak about these definitions. Now what is the total land holding as per the CAG report? That is 17.3 lakh acres. If we unite West and East Germany, that is also not to that subjected area of 17.3 lakh acres. Just imagine. Our Indian Army, Air Force and Navy are holding this much of land of equivalent to West Germany, and then also they keep crying for more land. They actually don't have a management of land. I'm sorry, my friends in uniform are absolutely, I would use that word, are stupid on their demand of more land. And then there is a clause that do not declare land surplus. We may be one of the world's biggest army. We may be with number a lot, but why do we need so huge stretches of army areas are lying in deserts? So let's talk of sense. Now out of which 17.3 lakh, 15.3 lakh acres is making about 88.44%, which is purely military cantonments in India after 1947. Just imagine. Well, you get land on peanut amount, you can do anything for the very basic word called public service, or the huge hype you create, that is national security. And you have so much of land. Now, 2 lakh acres of land is divided into these 57, or I could say plus 5 cantonments. And it has been bifurcated into classification of A, B, C. Now in A we have A1, we have A2. Now when we call off B, I presume it A meant army, B meant bungalow, C meant cantonment. So now when we come to B, we have B1, we have B2, we have B3, we have B4. Similarly, C is cantonment, C. Now, if we bifurcate this 2 lakh, even in this 2 lakh acre of land, which is now in these 57 plus 5 cantonment, 1.3 lakh acres, which is making 65% of 2 lakh, is already in the possession of the men in uniform. Now, what is the dispute working on to? 0.7 lakh acre. Am I right? Nothing more than this. So, making an aggregate of 35% of the 2 lakh holding, and if you go to the 17.3 lakh holding, it won't be 0.83% also. So, what are we actually fighting on? And why are we doing this? Why can't this Ministry of Defence wake up, make use of the land which is already in your hand? Or are you also willing to live in these 57 cantonments? You know, sometimes you see a young officer, a brigadier or a colonel, would be holding a palatial bungalow of 3 to 4 acres, which was resumed as a B3 land by an OGB. Why? Why can't army commanders and generals live in small houses like they live in Delhi when they move to headquarters? That's the problem. So this envy feeling of why a civilian is living in a bungalow, a palatial bungalow, and why can't I live into it? So this is where the station commanders and army starts taking the law in their hands. So let's friends, now we'll define as per 1937, word to word, what do these definitions mean? Now to begin, we'll start with A1. Land which is actually used or occupied by the military authority for purpose of fortification, barracks, stores, arsenals, aerodromes, bungalows for military officers which are property of government, parade grounds, military recreation grounds, rifle range, grass farms, dairy farms, brick fields, soldier and hospital gardens as per para 419, 421, 425 of the regulation of Army of India. So very clear. Now we come to A2. It is defined land which is not actually used or occupied by the military authority, but to the use or occupation of which for any other purpose except temporarily the existing specific military objections. And B1 is defined as land which is actually occupied or used by the War Department in the administration of ecclesiastical affairs, including European cemeteries, or by any department of the central government or other than War or the Defence Department, or by railway administration. Very clearly they say B1 goes like this. Now B2 is defined as which is actually occupied or used by or is under the control of any department of provincial government. So that means even state governments had the right to buy lands. Now coming to B3, what we are is defined as land which is held by any private person under the provisions of these rules, or which is held or may be presumed to be held under the provisions of the Cantonment Code of 1899 or 1912, or under any executive order previously in force, subject to condition under which the central government reserves or have reserved to themselves the proprietary rights in the soil. Now this language is so well crafted by the British officers, their lawmakers. Now just imagine he uses a word called private person. Now who are these private persons? I was reading a grant register, and I found a lot of army officers holding this property way back in 1843, 1870, 1860, this B3 land. But at that time there was no classification. So now it says private person. So is that army officer of the British at that time, let's say Captain Young of Landore Cantonment, was he a private person? No, he was not. So things were changing. Now he is using a word called presumed to be held. Now presume under law is rebuttable. So where is that presumption that I am a grant under 1899 code or 19, if I was a grant under 1899 or 1912, very jolly well the army could have leased me the property under its rules, because these were the codes made for leasing properties. I have documents where half of the bungalow is a old grant and half of the bungalow is a lease. Why? So again, third, under any executive order previously in force. Now what is that order? Let's talk of that executive order. That is the Governor General order. Here it says it is an executive order, but unfortunately our courts have interpreted that under the 1935 Government of India Act, Article 15, all Governor General orders have a force of statutory laws. So we were never subjected to the statutory law because we were put under an executive order. Where is that executive order? If Governor General order is a statutory law, so why write executive order in 1938? Could have very easily said under the Governor General orders for various 3 presidencies. No, it didn't write that either. So now in the last he says, the soil is, you don't have any proprietary rights and the government reserves the right of the soil. But when you are so sure since 1836 or 1801 or let's say 11 or 33 that all these lands within the cantonment boundary pillars were of the government, then why under this or have reserved to themselves the proprietary right? Why do you need to keep asking and writing these kind of words? Please repeal this definition. Read it 10 times. And if you understand English, you can do it. Now coming to B4. B4 is defined as which is not included in any other class. Friends, I have n number of GLRs of B4 where it is very clearly written on the GLR that it is not a grant. How stupid. Now, if the entire boundary pillars within the cantonment were grants, how could B4 be subjected that it is not a grant? So, this is how we will read. And class C, last, is lands under the management of the cantonment board, which are mainly, if you see, our parks, our roads, tube wells, lands between two bungalows. At your back, if you remember, just remember, see if you, at your back you have a 20 feet or a 50 feet wide passage area. So those are class C lands. So friends, once again, I think these definitions and my explanation on B3 would be more clearer. Any issue, get back to me. Once again, I am saying we are old grants. We were converted into new grants way back in 1780, 89, 1805, and we were paying Lagan. So we are freehold. We are category 3 lands. We do not need to prove that we come under B3 or CLA rules. Thank you. Good day.